Hi guys, welcome back to Scott Family Homestead. I'm Christine. My husband is Ryan and you'll see him around here in just a moment. And today is butchering day for our jumbo Cornish cross. Before we get too far into this video, just know I'm not going to show the dispatching of the actual birds. So if that is something you're concerned about, you don't have to worry about that. But we will show how we scald and pluck. I'm also going to show how we part out a bird into the 8 pieces, what organs we're keeping, and how we package our birds. So first things first, I'm going to show you the equipment that we have. This is our kiln here on the tree. By holding the birds upside down and in a kind of tighter space, it reduces the stress. So that is where we will dispatch our birds. Step 2 is to scald the birds. So we use a turkey fryer. You can see set up here with propane. After they are scalded, the feathers will come off easier. So this is the point in which you would either hand pluck, or in our case we're using a chicken plucker. The spins and the little rubber pegs pull the feathers out. You run a hose into there while you're doing that, so you need your water supply here. You're going to want a nice set of knives. This is brand new to us this year. They are outdoor edge knives and they should have everything and more than what we need. This will also be used for hunting, so that was a good investment for us. In the past we've used vacuum seal bags and we will use those when we part out chickens. Today's purpose of whole birds, we're going to use the shrink bags. They come with the zip ties and labels, and we will weigh everything and label it. We try to keep everything separate and clean, so this is our packaging area, which is separate from the evisceration area. And then we also keep a cleaning solution on hand, so every couple of birds we're wiping everything down and cleaning everything. I will link everything that I can in the description as far as all of our equipment. What temperature do you like your water?
150 degrees. And it's usually like 30 seconds. Pull on some of the wing feathers when they start coming out easy, and then you know you're done. If you go too hard, you'll see the skin split when they come out of the plucker. If you don't do enough, the feathers will stick in the bird. I think the most important thing when you're processing your own chickens, the best thing that you can do for this is to have a sharp knife, like a really sharp knife, right? No, you need a knife that'll slice through a tomato without hesitation.
If you watched our day in the life video, you'll understand that joke. But yes, a sharp knife is very important for this. It's going to make a big difference. And again, we're going for low stress on the animals, very quick. You've probably heard the saying, running around like a chicken with its head cut off. There is truth to that. If you are to cut their head off, their body and their nerves will continue to keep working.
Well, when we were first starting out 11 years ago, was it? 10 years ago?
10 years ago. We've been doing this for 10 years now.
When we first started out, I thought it would be cool just to have like a board across 2 buckets with little strings, and I would put their feet in the strings and just hold them there. And what we found out was that you end up with a lot of dislocated wings, and they didn't bleed out entirely. So that's something that when you're processing your own, and you've got them in that cone and they're sort of like, they're getting a big hug, and when they're trying to, they're moving their wings, that the nervous system response after they're dispatched, they're actually forcing all that blood out, and that just makes for a really clean, good tasting bird at the end of the day. And that's what we're looking for. We want to respect these animals and make it as less stressful on them as possible. So let's do it in a way where we get full use of every bit that we can.
It's also important to note, once you have dispatched them, not feeling pain, so even though they're continuing to move, it's just a nervous system response.
Do you want me to show, like when they're in the cone, where I do the cut? Like how I do that?
I don't think that's allowed on YouTube.
I'm not going to do the cut, I just want to like point out what I'm looking for.
Yeah, where are you going?
We can do that. We're just going to do a little clip here of where you will cut to dispatch the bird, so we won't show the actual process on camera. We are trying to do this as an educational experience, so those of you who want to do this yourself, we want you to be able to see that portion of it. Also a shout out to our local homesteaders. We will be doing another 100 birds later this summer in about probably 6 to 8 weeks. We are more than happy to have you come here to the farm and learn this process in a more intimate setting of actually being able to see it, do it hands-on, and we will help you so that if you want to raise your own birds, you can take it from there and do it yourself. Also, we have this equipment, so if you are local and you are doing this by hand and you would like some assistance, we are open to that as well. We started about 10 years ago. We didn't have anybody to show us the ropes. We were also learning from YouTube.
There's some really fun stories about how we got started with meat birds. Yeah, it was stressful.
Our first year was a disaster. We ended up with decent quality birds at the end of it, but it was very stressful for both of us, and we didn't know what we were doing. We thought from the research that we had done that we had a pretty good handle on what to expect, and then it all went sideways.
There was marital stress, electrocution
Oh gosh.
of myself.
I didn't know that part. Just
So
general
many stories.
stress. Just so much stress. If you are not local to us, find somebody local to you that does this and try to get some hands-on experience. People will always accept help on Butcher Day, and then you leave there knowing what to expect and what to do. So it's really beneficial both ways if you can seek out a farmer who can help you get started. The bigger boys are a little bit more used to this. They've helped many years, and now they are teaching Ezra. That big bird compared to Ezzy.
Okay, so when their neck is sticking out, you pinch along the sides of their neck right here, and just kind of like lightly pinch and pull forward, which will pull those veins away from the vertebrae in the neck, and then you can just run your knife in next to the vertebrae and out in one quick motion, just like a real quick slice across and out, and that'll cut both of the jugular veins on each side. They bleed out, and at that point they are dispatched.
So we've got our hot water here. So you're gonna sit and you're gonna dunk it as fully as you can. And then from there, we'll put it into the plucker. I'm just gonna place the chicken in there. We're gonna turn the water on. And then there's a button down here that just turns it on. Turn it off. And then we'll just finish by hand plucking any of these remaining ones.
Alright, so once we get all the pin feathers off of here, and then you want your very sharp knife, and you want to start to take the legs off. Flex this joint back, and you can see where the joint is with the tendon, and those two pieces come together, and you just slice right through, and there you go. So from there we want to take the neck off, so we're going to flip it over on its back, and pull it this way, and same thing, you want to flex the neck to spread the vertebrae open. So pick a spot nice and close. Let the weight of the chicken pull those joints apart as you're cutting, and then you kind of just pull that out. And then we're going to flip the bird over this way. We want to make a very small incision here to open up the cavity. I like to make my incision down a little bit lower so that I have room to cut a slice. Kind of truss these feet up like this when I'm done. Makes it package really nicely. So we kind of just pinch the skin right here and then make a little small incision. We want to get through that, but not into the intestines. Reach our fingers in and just kind of spread it apart. We'll reach in. You kind of want to go up against the rib cage here. Reach all the way around. And as you do this and you get more experience, you kind of feel the different organs in there. You're kind of reaching for the gizzard. It makes a really nice handle to pull that out until you've got one strand here which is still connected to the vent. So what I do is I just pinch right here. You want to cut kind of nice and close. You cut around that vent. All this here, this is just extra fat. We're going to cut that off and tuck that in. We want that extra flavor when we cook that. I'm gonna work through this stuff right here. This is the crop that went up to the neck, goes down into the gizzard. We've got the liver here, the intestines, and then the vent here. So I'm gonna cut this right at the gizzard here, and then you kind of just tear that away. So that's the gizzard. We want to save that and clean that out in just a minute. This is the liver, and it has the gallbladder right on attached there. You really want to make sure that you don't break the gallbladder open because it'll give you a neon green fluid. That is just all the waste that the gallbladder has collected. The rest of this is intestines. We can throw this. The gizzard we're going to open up and we're going to peel it. So I'm just going to take a knife here. I'm going to go around the edge here and you'll feel your knife start to hit that gritty stuff that's in there. We're going to discard all any of the rocks and the sand and food that might be in there. I'm going to spray this down. So you have this, I guess, muscle, we'll just call it that, on the outside, and then inside is like this really, it's like a rubbery layer. We want to peel that off. I'm going to hand it over to Harrison because he's kind of a resident gizzard peeler here. I'm going to reach in here because there's still a heart in here. So I'm going to pull this out, and the heart is on the inside. We also have kidneys up there that are attached to the ribs. We're going to pull those kidneys out. Along the rib cage is the lungs. This is probably the most difficult part, is reaching up into the rib cage and scraping the lungs out. When you get those out, they're nice and pink. And then we have our chicken. Rinse it out, and then I'll just truss the legs up. Make sure that's looking all good. I'm going to get a nice clean spot on my table here. What I'm going to do is take this extra skin here and just put a little slit in there. Just like that. Doesn't need to be too big, it'll kind of rip as it needs to. And then just kind of flip it up and over the legs so you see both of those joints pop out. And then it becomes a nicely packaged bird. Like
I've switched pots. This has clean water. I'm going to make this a little bit warmer, closer to 180 degrees, and then this is going to be used to shrink wrap. So it comes with a bag like this that you put your chicken into. You put a straw down through the opening and then secure a zip tie on here. We're going to dip it into the 180 degree water. Then when it's tight, right up to the bird, pull out the straw and tighten that zip tie the last little bit, and you've got your freezer ready bird.
Alright, got the straw, got the zip tie placed. Water's nice and hot. So I'm gonna dunk it in. There we go. And we'll pull our straw. Tighten your zip tie good and tight. There we go. Nicely packaged bird.
So we did 10 whole birds, packaged the way that we just showed, and now we're going to part out about 12 of them. I like to do them in groups of 6, and how I package them is 6 thighs, 4 breasts, and a combination of 8 wings and legs. So you can do that in groups of 6. You end up with 2 packages of thighs, 3 packages of legs and wings, and 3 packages of breasts. And that's about the right size for our family. Use these food vac bags. So these are an off-brand. They are cheaper and the same quality. I really like them. I get them on Amazon. I have a Nesco Food Saver. I used to get the Food Saver brand, but they would burn out after about 50 to 100 birds, so I've had this one for a few years and I'd say it works pretty good. And it has some more options on it than the basic Food Saver does. So we are going to start parting out these birds and packaging them and getting them into the freezer.
Alright, so we're going to break this chicken down. I like to start out with it on its back. I find that the wings and the legs help to stabilize while I'm removing the breast off of here. So what you want to do is kind of find the keel, which is right here between the 2 chunks of breast meat. That's kind of going to be your guide. I'm going to do one cut right along the center, just kind of following down one side, and you just kind of want to work that piece of meat down along the bone. Down along, catch the tender under here, and then that'll just sort of peel away like that. You can cut it down here by the shoulder. We'll do the same on the other side. It's a little trickier on the shoulder here. Pull that up, and then you've got chicken breast with the skin left on it. I like to start with the legs. So first thing you do is just kind of dislocate the hip. So just grab here and pull. You see that bone pops out of socket. Cut down in through this valley, down and around that hip bone. And then with the wing, you kind of just hold the body up and use the weight of the bird and cut around that shoulder bone. The thigh and the leg, they all come off as one piece, so we can separate those. This line right here, and you just kind of want to feel where that bone is. So I want to go just slightly over, and I'm just going to cut through there. We've got a drumstick and a thigh.
And this is what we end up with. We get 4 breasts. Here's our legs and wings pack, and then 6 thighs. We're getting everything, all the parts put into the freezer. The last little part here is to take the legs and the organs, and we're gonna package those up and put them in the freezer, and then we are done for the day. A little bit of cleanup. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for watching our channel. Please subscribe. Hoping to do a lot more meat bird content as far as how we use all of these parts and pieces. So look for those videos to come. And that is it for today. So we'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.